All right, welcome into another episode of Denmark on Marsh on September 30th. It's the last day of September. I just realized that. October 1st is tomorrow.
Pay rent, people, if you haven't yet.
Yes, this is true. Pay your rent, pay your insurance, pay your bills, dollar bills. Graham, UCF is like A-OK. Colorado goes in there. I thought UCF was going to fully – what Colorado did to UCF is what I thought UCF was going to do to Colorado.
Correct.
I was amazed at how Colorado ran the ball on UCF, and I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, I said this before the game happened. I'm like, if Florida wants to win this game, they got to win at 48-45.
I agree.
And I still agree with that same sentiment, but I feel a lot more confident that Florida can beat this UCF team by what Colorado did to them.
You just took the words out of my mouth. Like, I still agree that they need, if they're going to win, they need to win a 48-45 game. Now I think they actually can. Going into the weekend, I'm like, okay, Florida would have to win some type of shootout, but do they have that type of offense is going to be able to like that offense is okay. It's not like this isn't a putrid offense, I wouldn't say, for the Gators. It's like average. But can they win in a shootout type of game like that, where the other team's probably going to run the ball on you and get 200 yards? That I was like, probably not. Watching UCF's defense, man. I mean, hold on, I'm about to see. Watching UCF's defense, Florida's going to score points on them.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through Colorado's schedule, the previous games, how they were able to run the football. They were able to run the ball a little bit against Baylor, but it was like I watched the first three quarters. By the fourth quarter, the game was practically over, and I had the quad box going on. I had like a lot of quad box going on.
Quad box is huge, man.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Big quad box guy here.
And on Sundays, red zone. But I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like, Colorado's offensive line, we all know, is okay. They're not terrible, but they're not really good. I mean, Shador's like pretty much throwing them under the bus in one of the games. I think it was after the Nebraska game. And like Florida's offensive line is, I would say, on par with them. And I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like matching the 2 and 2 together. Obviously, Florida does not have a Travis Hunter, who's the best player in college football by far, not even close.
If you are a Heisman voter, do the right thing. Do the right thing. I'm sorry. This is not what we're talking about. I'm taking us off script. I apologize. How is he not the Heisman winner?
Only way he's not in there is if he gets hurt. I mean, the guy's it's stupid.
It's insane. We can talk about that in a minute. But
yeah.
sorry, I just want to bring it up.
But yeah, I mean, just looking at, Colorado gave Florida the recipe on how to beat UCF. Like, I don't know how Florida doesn't look at some of the similarities they have with Colorado and say that we can attack UCF, running the ball up the middle, running it off tackle, hitting the guys in space. I mean, there was a lot of times where Colorado like almost just did what they wanted to do, and UCF dumped on them pretty early. I think UCF jumped on them 7-0.
Yeah.
And then it was all Colorado. So I was 50-50 coming into the week before the game Saturday, and now I'm feeling 60-40, 70-30 Florida.
I feel the exact same way. 100%. Like, basically everything you just said, I completely agree with. We agree and disagree on this podcast. We're kind of a coin flip on if we agree on certain topics or whatever. This one, 100%. Like, the exact like thought process that your brain went through on Saturday is the same one mine did. Like, before that game, I'm like, all right, let me tap in and see. And if UCF, I kind of had a feeling UCF was going to maybe run up the score on them a little bit because I don't think Colorado's very good.
UCF was a 14-point favorite.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to run up the score on them. I thought it was going to get into the third quarter and that run game for UCF with their backs and then also with KJ Jefferson coming downhill was going to really, really start to wear on Colorado's defense, and it was probably going to get – if Colorado couldn't score like every drive, it was going to start to get ugly. A couple drives they got a punt or maybe a turnover here and there. It was going to start to really slip away from Colorado, and UCF was going to be rocking, and the bounce house was going to be bouncing, and I was going to be thinking they're like, ooh, boy, like we're in trouble next week. The complete opposite is what I came away with from that game. I'm like, to your point, and not only were you shocked that Colorado was running the ball on them like they were, the broadcast was shocked. The broadcast, the halftime show, and the broadcast during the game could not stop talking about how if you were to have said before the game that Colorado is going to be the team, or if you were going to say before the game, one of these teams is going to dominate on the ground, and someone said that team's Colorado, you just said they're crazy.
Yeah, there's no way. They've never shown it. Not since Dion got there last year.
Never. And UCF has felt before this game, UCF felt like this team that was going to get 150, 200 yards a game, especially with KJ Jefferson, a quarterback who we've heard it 1,000 times. Stop me if you heard this before. KJ Jefferson came in here for Arkansas last year and won in the Swamp. I get it. Different team, different playbook, different coach, different everything. Am I insane for thinking the Gators win?
Well, and then also, too, Florida – no, you're not insane for that. And then, I mean, Florida – most books have it at a spread, at a pick 'em, or Florida's a 1-point favorite right now, which is kind of surprising to me. Which I feel like at minimum Florida should be a field goal favorite. And I mean the money might go that way, and the bets might go to Florida, so it might move that way. But I'm almost surprised how Vegas saw that UCF game, and they still think that the Florida UCF game is pretty even.
Vegas has also watched the Gators play.
Yes, but they've had Miami. They've had Miami be the favorite. They've had A&M be the favorite in the Swamp. They had Florida. Florida was the favorite going to Mississippi State, and everybody was like scratching their head, thinking like, I don't know about this. So they've been on the right side every time.
Yeah,
and I think they hit the number exactly, depending on when you got the number against Sanford.
Yeah.
For all the degenerates out there,
Dylan, you just kind of gave the playbook, in my opinion, on how the Gators win this game. Let's go downhill on them. Let's make them stop us because they showed
Trayon Webb.
There it is.
Left and right.
There it is. Well, that's my question. Like, what, in my opinion, we don't know the long-term status of Billy Napier's job right now. We're not sure. But he's not stupid. He knows he's under the gun. Okay, he understands that every week he's coaching for his job right now, right? He'll never say that, but he's not an idiot, right? Well, that's
yes,
debatable,
he lives in the real world.
But he knows what's going on. Does that mean that these younger guys are going to continue to get more and more and more plays? Not just at back, but ever. I mean, Mississippi State was the first game. I'm not counting Sanford. Mississippi State was the first game where they were playing what was considered a somewhat equal opponent, and young guys played everywhere. I mean, Mizell got a ton of carries. That's the first time we saw a lot of Jaden Ball. First time we saw Trayon Webb come close to competing with Montrell Johnson for the amount of carries they got.
50 for them too.
Yeah. I mean, first time we saw a lot of Jacoby Jackson with a full drive, looked really strong. First time we saw that. Like, do you think we're going to see – I believe we are going to see more of the same. Do you think we'll see even more, I guess, is my question.
I think of the first 4 games of the snap usage, I think they'll be closer to what they did against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
With the quarterbacks playing Graham Mertz mostly, throwing DJ Lagway, and they're sprinkling him in there, and then having a rotation of backs because, I mean, that worked almost to perfection outside of the first drive, how you wanted it to for the whole game. I mean, granted, it was Mississippi State and Florida's better than Mississippi State's not that good, but it's hard to look at that and not say that Florida's going to use that more moving forward. I think Montrell Johnson will probably get 60%. Trey Webb will probably get 40 to 45. Ball will get his, fresh legs fourth quarter in like he did against Mississippi State. And the only question is going to be, is Eugene Wilson going to be healthy to play? Because if he is, and you have Mizell one side and Eugene Wilson on the other, and Badger can get it rolling, like this is an offense against UCF that can score easily 42 points.
All of a sudden, you can look across the board and say that they got some dudes. That's the first time this year I felt that way,
and you feel good.
Yeah,
like, I mean, there's times where you feel like you have dudes, but then there's times where like, yeah, you got dudes, but I don't know how we can protect them up front or how we can get the ball to them. I don't feel that way about Saturday.
I mean, that touchdown that got called back on a BS. What do they call blocking the back or unnecessary evidence on Montrell Johnson?
Yeah, some kind of targeting.
Because
he hit him high.
that was a BS call. But that run after the catch from Aiden Mizell was something we haven't seen in a Gator uniform in a long time.
No.
I mean,
since,
that was
Kadarius Toney.
That was
Been a minute.
and I'm not calling him Tony, I'm not calling him Percy Harvin, I'm not calling him those guys, but it was those guys type of stuff, right? It was Percy Harvin type of play. A Kadarius Toney type of play where, like, when's the last time you saw in a Gator uniform? I guess last year against Georgia with Eugene Wilson, but that we're talking like these two guys with that ability. Before that, like, I guess Toney would be the answer. But the point is, it's just very rare in the last decade plus that you've seen a quarterback dump it off to a Gator receiver, screen pass, slant, underneath route, whatever, and they just go.
Yeah.
They make a guy miss or two. Nobody can tackle them, and they're just clearly better than all these DBs trying to get them down in the open field. Guys in the open field have no. Mississippi State could have had 3 more defenders on that play, and Mizell was still going to make them miss. Yeah, that was really, really encouraging to see.
All right, can we get into the weekend that was, which is the best weekend that we've had in college football so far, up until they play not this weekend but next weekend?
No, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and wrap the show.
All right, see ya. I honestly want to know. I'm not looking dead at the camera. How people that say they like football. I'm just saying football in general. Not one, not high school, not college. How people can say they like the NFL over college football, dude. How people don't say. Sorry, did I say that right? Sorry, my mind just went a million places. I don't know how people like the NFL over college football.
Yeah, you said it right.
Okay, dude, I watched the NFL yesterday. The most entertaining game yesterday was the Jags-Texans. Am I wrong on that?
No, that's about right.
There was no other game that was entertaining. There were blowouts. The Colts blew out the Steelers up until it became a game late. The same thing with the Green Bay Minnesota game. Baltimore Buffalo was going to be the damn good game, but that turned out to be a blowout. Kansas City the Chargers. Chargers Chiefs was like whatever. Rashee Rice blew his knee out thanks to Mahomes, which sucked for me, but that's a different story. But like, I don't know how you watch that Georgia-Alabama game and watch that Kentucky-Ole Miss game and just saw the whole slate of college football and think that the NFL is better than the college football.
I don't disagree this weekend, but in fairness, that's not every weekend.
No, it's not.
Right? I mean, Georgia-Bama is going to be the game of the year, most likely.
Oh, it will be. But, I mean, there are so many other games that happened Saturday that's what college football is almost week in and week out. Other than the first month, because you have all these mismatches.
Well, look.
But we're about to get in a conference play, dude, and we're about to have some damn good teams with this new conference.
Yeah, so I'll put it this way with you. I think in the past, and by in the past, I mean literally like last year and then like before that.
10 months ago.
Like, this has not been the case necessarily in college football. College football historically has been your big boys just play cupcakes for a lot of the first month of the year, and then they get into conference play, which is great, but even in conference play, you get a lot of Alabama, Missouris, and Missouri's good right now, but historically haven't been. Or you get Georgia, Vandy, and, games like that are snoozers, and that's been a lot of your college football. Conference realignment has changed that. The expanded playoff has changed that. Now, I do believe that what the point you're making is more correct right now and more indicative of what we're going to see in the future. I think, look, man, everybody can say what they want about conference realignment and not liking this or that or whatever. I'm sorry, Texas and Oklahoma being in the SEC just makes for great ball every week. But it just does.
Every freaking week.
It just does, right? And dude, even like, even the big, when we talk about conference realignment, the big ones that we bring up is Texas and OU being in the SEC now, and the USC and UCLA and Oregon being in the Big Ten now. Like, those are the big ones we talk about because those are the big schools and the big conferences, kind of collecting all the big programs. But even the other stuff, like last week, Florida State was a good game. It was, offense.
Did you see the end of the Oklahoma-Auburn game?
Offense wasn't a plenty in that game.
Yeah. Did you watch Oklahoma-Auburn?
Yeah. Insane game.
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, you're like, Auburn's got this wrapped up. Auburn's got whole control of the game. And then they throw a pick six. My jaw just dropped as the dudes just running down the side. And you're like, oh, my God. They're going to find a way to blow this game. I thought this true freshman was going to be the guy moving forward. And Hugh Freeze just, oh, my gosh. Like, you don't have that stuff in the NFL, man. I think the main reason why people love the NFL so much is because it's the best run business because of red zone, because every game is close at the end of the game, regardless of what the score is. And we tie gambling to the NFL and we play fantasy football. But that doesn't have to do with the entertainment that we say with the sport and the game.
Well, the NFL has college football beat big time in stars too. And a lot of that ties to fantasy, but there's no Patrick Mahomes equivalent in college football.
No.
There's no Travis Kelce equivalent in college football. There's no Joe Burrow equivalent. There's no, and obviously I know all these guys play college football. Joe Burrow is one of the best college football players of all time. Joe Burrow's star status elevated when he got to the NFL, right? And there's a more, I think this is what kind of it comes down to, like viewership wise and everything, Dylan. And this is why the NFL always cleans up viewership wise against everybody else. There's a really big, because our podcast listeners and you and I and people in this building don't really fit this bill, but it's kind of outside of us. There's a huge category of casual fans that just have a game on in the background here and there, and if it's close, pay attention.
Yes.
Those are NFL watchers. Those are not college football watchers. Because those are the people that just happen to be in a work fantasy.
Well, and I know, understand, like, it's where your region is, and if you're in the Northeast, you care way more about your pro team than your college team, and, the NFL is just a lot better to understand because there's less teams, and you can follow it all in one portion. But, I mean, like, the end of that Miami game, which, let's just dive into that. Okay, was it a touchdown or was it incomplete?
I felt like watching it live, I felt like it was incomplete.
Okay, I was agreed. And then you have all these fools now that are saying that the ACC who got on the phone, they're like, hey, Miami, yeah, we know you're good. Let's just give it to you so we can try to get two teams in the playoff. All right, 10-4, click.
Yeah, but it's funny to play conspiracy theory.
Dude, the people that seriously think that need to be punched in the forehead. Like, I swear to you, dude. The amount of people that seriously think that, I'm just like, and then they're smart people that cover the sport that think this. They're like, yeah, Miami hadn't been good in a long time, and, they probably did this. Yeah, because, Miami hasn't been good for 20 years, so now they're going to give them a call. This is my whole thing, too, with this playoff. And we've seen this, too, now that Georgia lost. Everybody's like, oh, Georgia's not as good. Dude, we got a 12-team playoff. This isn't the BCS. The 12-team playoff, you can lose a game, maybe two, maybe three. It's like the NFL.
Yeah.
The Bills lost last night. Not everybody's losing their mind that they lost to the Ravens because they know, hey, it's just 1 week. We'll play again in January. That's what college football is now.
My biggest takeaway from the Bama-Georgia game is Bama might be the best team in the country.
Maybe. This is my thing with Bama. I want to see them play Texas. I still think Texas is maybe a little better. Kalen DeBoer is a hell of a coach, dude. For all these people that were like, I don't know, Washington, Pac-12. Dude, his first 4 drive, they scored a touchdown against Georgia. Seamlessly. It wasn't even hard.
Can I say something controversial?
It's probably not going to be, but go ahead.
It's going to be. Maybe not for you, but it would be a controversial take to just say to the general public. Nick Saban built this program to what it is. Nick Saban, if he didn't want to retire, would still be the best coach to be Alabama's head coach.
Point being,
he would be whatever. This specific team that Alabama has right now, this specific
it's better
year,
with DeBoer.
Yes.
That's not a question. Kalen DeBoer has gotten them that game. I don't know if Nick Saban would have won that game.
I don't either.
But it wouldn't have looked like that. I heard somebody say this on it was like Tom Fornelli and that Cover 3 podcast with Danny Cannell that they do. and made a good point. Like, dude, DeBoer has gotten the most out of Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, that's
like,
what it
and
is.
that's not even a debate
And
or a topic.
That's why for this specific team that they have today, Kalen DeBoer is going to put them in a better position to succeed for the long term in this season, in my opinion, because if you have watched Jalen Milroe up to this year and then you've watched him this year and you don't think that he's miles better, then I don't know what you're watching.
They haven't watched.
He has historically been a running quarterback that can chuck it deep every so often and, hit the 80-yard home run sometimes if he needs to. And besides that, his throws are just going to be little screens and kind of just dinking and ducking down the field and just running when he can and trying to make a big play. He's a legit passer now. He's a legit – that 5 to 25 yards, which is where you live most of the time, he's accurate. He reads defenses. He goes through his progressions. He sees things. Jalen Milroe, I watched him multiple times in that game get to his second and third reads and still make throws. I've never seen him do that before.
No.
It has historically been first read, maybe second. If I don't see anything, all right, I'm taking off.
Yeah.
And then when he did take off, of course, he's arguably the best athlete in college football right now.
And here's my thing, too, now that, like, dude, Alabama had a perfect game plan. Offensive side, they went empty a lot, which Georgia was not expecting, and they blitzed the piss out of Carson Beck.
Yeah.
That's something they hadn't shown all year. Okay, now you've shown your hand. Okay, now when you play again, and I'm sure that the DeBoer is going to have a different plan, and they're going to try and attack a different way. But that's where the chess match begins. Because, okay, you came out, Georgia couldn't have played any worse. Alabama had an A-plus game to start. Now when you play again, it's going to be, okay, how do you attack this team going forward? Like, because that's probably when they play again, probably in the playoff, that's not going to happen. We would all agree. I mean, when it got to 28-0, we were all shocked.
Well, the reason Georgia started mounting a comeback is because they were able to counterpunch the blitz. They were able to in the second half.
Well, and Alabama kept running man free, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
And Carson Beck and Bobo clearly made adjustments at halftime that, okay, we know that they're going to be sending a lot of pressure, especially on third downs. We need something quicker that we can get to. And they ended up doing that, and they ended up burning Bama pretty bad defensively in the second. And that's why they were able to come back. And then I also thought Bama got stagnant offensively a little bit. They had a couple play calls I didn't totally agree with. But, man, if they played again, neutral site or in Athens, who knows? It's another coin flip. Who knows who wins? And you maybe Texas, to your point. Other than that, who would Bama lose to?
I want to see Ohio State.
All right, Ohio.
It's those four, and then there's a gap.
Totally just didn't have Ohio State on the brain. Obviously Ohio State. Yes, you're right. Okay, so I think Ohio State's actually the best team in the country. Now that I don't know how I just deleted them from memory for this. I just didn't watch them this weekend, so they weren't on top of my mind.
They were playing.
They weren't playing.
They played on Peacock. They played somebody.
Yeah,
Jeremiah Smith is a dude.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. But I saw some highlights, but they just weren't top of my mind because of that. Anyways.
I think they played at Michigan State.
Anyways, I would probably say Ohio State's probably the best team in the country, even though we haven't seen them play a great team yet. Other than that, I think it's Bama. And if Ohio State and Bama play right now, that's what a pick 'em basically.
Yeah,
it's a neutral site.
I still think Texas right now. I was going to bring up something else about that. Oh, we all talk about this what's his name? Ryan Williams, the receiver for Alabama, the 17-year-old.
Is he the best Bama wide receiver since Devontae Smith?
Probably. Here's my thing. We all talk about him being 17. Dude, this guy was playing high school football a year ago. He's doing this to Georgia's defense. Can we imagine what this dude was like in high school?
He's making he's making DBs that are going to be playing on Sundays look stupid.
Dude, that makes no sense why a dude is $170. And I remember they brought up during the game, I think it was Hurst, he was like, yeah, you see a young guy usually when to jam him, you're like, you don't want to do that. That's if you have one bad step against that dude, he will embarrass you.
And that he played an unbelievable game the entire game, but that game-winning touchdown to make the catch is one of the great catch. For him to make the catch do a little spin, stay in bounds, run for a couple yards, juke out both defenders, do another spin, and then outrun the last DB to the That was like the smoothest. That was like the smoothest deep catch and run I've ever seen. It felt really Percy Harvin-ish in terms of like what he just did is just unbelievable next level athleticism, and he made it look so easy, just so easy. Now, how do you make it look that smooth? It didn't even look hard. It looked like he was just going like 80%.
Oh yeah.
It was insane.
There was I think ESPN had like a picture when he scored that last touchdown where like he caught it, and then when he took a step inside, two guys have him dead to right, and they show a picture of him like 3 steps later and he's gone. Like that photographic does not line up exactly to how that play worked out. You got to get out 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
All right. We got to roll, and we'll see you later this week. I was gonna say something, I don't know. I gotta make a Jaguar open. Great times here in Jacksonville.